CNG is anything but a new term for anyone who has owned, driven or been driven in a car in India. It's a fuel that's been delivering economical and ecological benefits for several years. And yet, it's not a place where we've seen much innovation. Take a regular petrol car, cram in a CNG kit however you can and pass it on to the customer. That's how it's been and still is for many. Tata Motors, however, have developed their new age iCNG technology that takes that trusted alternative fuel and eliminates the drawbacks that could have prevented people from adopting it. And the Tiago and the Tigor that you see here in the frame with me are now coming equipped with an easy to drive AMT transmission. Of course, there's a lot happening with these two cars, and that needs a detailed explanation. So follow me. Welcome to the air-conditioned ZigWheels studio. A great convenience. But sometimes in life, we have to make compromises, though that's not something you have to do with a CNG car. Take the boot for example. That's something you'd normally say goodbye to if you have a CNG car because the tank takes up all of the boot space. And the smaller the car, the larger the problem. So Tata engineered the iCNG's twin cylinder integration, a proper engineered approach, so no settling for makeshift. Not only do the cylinders get neatly tucked under the boot floor, so no eyesore, but importantly, you're left with an actually usable boot space. And that really makes a difference, especially in cars like the Tigor iCNG, where the reason to buy the car in the first place is the big boot space. And it's not just about convenience, it's about safety too. Now Tata cars score high on that front, but the iCNG cars bring their own layer of safety as well. And a lot of that protection comes from things you can't even see. The cars incorporate a leak detection system as well as a thermal incident protection system that cuts off CNG supply to the engine in case a leak is detected both within the system or in its surroundings. And as you'd imagine, sensitive components like valves or nozzles have protective measures built around them to prevent leaks in the first place. The twin cylinders located below the luggage area offer safer packaging as well because the valves and sensitive components are under the covered lowered area, minimizing the risk of potential damage in an accident. And there's also this smart integration. No, not the CNG filler next to the petrol inlet, but this smart micro switch that won't allow the car to start without the fuel lid being shut. The core benefit of CNG and why it's such an easy fuel to adapt to is because it doesn't ask you to change the way you drive or learn something new. Refueling is as easy as driving to a fuel station and filling up your tank, just as you would with a petrol car. And with iCNG, there's no two-step starting process either, so you don't have to start on petrol and then switch to CNG. You can also swap between petrol and CNG power at just the touch of this button. Seamless and just as easy as changing drive modes. The advanced single ECU manages the air-fuel mixture change immediately, so switching fuels is a jerk-free and quick experience. And speaking of the driving experience, for the most part, driving an iCNG car is no different than driving a petrol. The difference in performance and acceleration is negligible. In our own tests, Tata iCNG cars have proven to be as drivable, refined and easy to live with both on CNG as they are on petrol. And the difference in the acceleration times, both for overtakes and from a standstill, barely a second. The big bonus is that CNG is now automatic too, and both the Tiago and the Tigor iCNG cars are now offered with an automated manual transmission. And with so many car users using their CNG cars in heavy traffic, why wouldn't you want the advantage of an automatic transmission? And Tata continues to cut the compromises by leaving the choice up to you, just as it is with a petrol car. So if you want a fully loaded Tiago or Tigor CNG car with an automated transmission, automatic climate control, 14-inch dual-tone hyper-style wheels, 7-inch touchscreen and a branded Harman sound system, go for it! If you're paying more for iCNG tech, why should your choices be fewer? Of course, you're paying for better operational efficiency and cutting emissions, so it helps to know what that really looks like. Let's say you have a heavy commute of 50 kilometers per day. Now, petrol variants are promising up to 19 kilometers per litre, and on CNG, the Tigor is promising up to 28 kilometers per kilogram. Not only do you get more efficiency with CNG, but CNG is also the cheaper fuel. In this table, we've assumed the CNG price to be 79 rupees per kilogram and fuel to be about 106 rupees per litre. And after doing the calculations, the running cost of CNG is roughly half of that of a petrol car. And that's why it's very easy to recover the upfront cost of taking that CNG option. The more you drive, the more you save. And speaking of driving, let's move back into the real world. And speaking about the designs of both the Tiago and the Tigor, they both err on the classy and understated side of things. And I personally like how that grille is a nice blend of sporty and chic. Personally, I really love how that headlamp and the grille works together. Next, let's step inside and check out the interiors. I've always loved Tata interiors, and with the Tigor you get a nice leather wrap steering wheel and a gear lever. You also get some fabric on the door pads, and even though most of the plastics are hard plastics, Tata has done a great job with textures and finishes to keep it looking nice and fresh on the interior. And then when you come to features, well, a 7-inch touchscreen with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, automatic climate control AC, and a nice digital driver's dash. Of course, you can't miss the 8-speaker Harman Kardon audio as well. So it's a nice plush cabin in here. Time now, I guess, to check out the rear seats. As you can see, well, there's plenty of passenger room here in the back of the Tigor. I've got a nice armrest with cup holders, plenty of space for knickknacks and bottle holders and snacks as such. And you've got a couple of pockets behind the front seats as well. Of course, you can't forget these Benke Calico leatherette seats, which are really nice and comfortable. And the driving experience is the best part. Both the Tiago and the Tigor are easy to handle around town with a lightly weighted steering, great visibility all around, and easy maneuverability as well. And now with the addition of the AMT to both iCNG variants, that's the great combination of low cost of running in the city and easy driving in traffic as well. So a win-win. And now that we are on an open road, it's a great time to talk about what that advanced single ECU does for both the Tigor and the Tiago iCNG cars. And it's simply put, just this. Just a button to switch between CNG and petrol power, and you really can't tell the difference between the two. Both our seat of the pants as well as our performance figures tell us that the difference between outright performance of CNG and petrol power is under 1 second. So what fuel you're using doesn't really spoil the fun. And the only time, if any, that you may need to switch to petrol power is when you're fully loaded with all the family and you're on a nice winding road. And then it's just the switch of a button and away we go.